Hello my dear students, hope you are doing good. Today we are going to learn about acetate pathway. So what is acetate pathway and why we are learning about acetate pathway? Why we are calling it as acetate? Because here the main metabolite will be acetate. That's why it's called as acetate pathway. Okay, this acetate pathway have two main pathways. One is acetate malonate pathway and acetate malonate pathway. If you have remember yesterday's class, general carbon reductase pathway, then you would have remembered that from acetylcholine, you will form this acetate malonate pathway and acetate malonate pathway. Why this acetate pathway is more important? Because this acetate pathway is used for the formation of many secondary metabolites. This acetate malonate pathway is also known as malvinoic acid pathway. What this acetate pathway will synthesize? Okay, it will biosynthesize isoprenoid compounds, which are our secondary metabolites. Okay, the next one is isopentenyl pyrophosphate. This acetate pathway will synthesize secondary metabolites will be isoprenoid compounds. Okay, so what are these two isoprenoid compounds? One is isopentenyl pyrophosphate. Next one is dimethylallyl pyrophosphate. So here I told you that the secondary metabolites will be isoprenoid compounds. So what are these isoprenoid compounds? Isoprenoid compounds will be terpenoids. Okay, what are these terpenoids? Two isoprenoids will combine to form one terpenoids. Okay, two isoprenoids will combine to form one terpenoids. Okay, so let's see the different types of terpenoids. The first one will be monoterpenoid, which is combination of two isoprenin units. Okay, so next one will be diterpenoids. Diterpenoids will be combination of four isoperins. Okay, when it comes to tri, 6. When it comes to tetra, it means 8. Okay, let's see the secondary metabolites which are used in this acetate malvinoic acid pathway. In this acetate malvinoic acid pathway, the secondary metabolites will be terpenes and steroids. So what are the uses of these terpenes? Why do we need this terpenes as our secondary metabolites? Actually, whatever we are taking from plants, it should be useful to us, right? So without any use, if we take anything, it's unnecessary for our body, isn't it? So that's why when we are taking these terpenes, which are our secondary metabolite, in introduction class, I told you that secondary metabolites are very useful for us when compared to primary metabolites, isn't it? So these secondary metabolites like terpenes are used as an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antiseptic, anti-cancer, anti-plasmodian, astringent, digestive and diuretic. So we already know the terminology of this anti-inflammatory, antioxidant and diuretics. So the uses of steroids, mainly steroids are used as an anti-inflammatory. This is one use. We have another use also, which is immune suppressant. You may ask, madam, immune suppressant, how it is a useful thing? I will tell you. For example, why we need it as an immune suppressant? Because, example, if I have went through any surgery, any transplantation, like kidney transplantation or any liver transplantation, at that time, what my body will do, my immune system will reject that organ because that is not part of my body, isn't it? So what my body will do, it will reject that one. So instead of that, what this drug will do when I am taking this steroids, it will suppress my immunity. When it is suppressing my immunity, what will happen? automatically this organ will be a part of my body. Surround that organ and that will become a part of us, isn't it? So next one will be where this malonylic acid will occur. It will occur in each and every eukaryotes, bacteria, some bacteria and plant and animals. Next one is malonate, where this malonate cycle will occur, acetate malonate cycle will occur. It will occur in all plants. Next one, what are the secondary metabolites of this malonate acid? The secondary metabolites of this malonate acid is fatty acids. So what are the uses of this fatty acid? It is used for the production of energy to our muscles, heart and other organs. So we can say it as a building blocks of our cell membrane. Okay, we can also call it as a building blocks of our cell membrane. So let's see the cycle of this acetic acid, ma. So before going into the cycles, before going into these two pathways, let's see how these pathways are starting. What are the biosynthetic precursors of these pathways? Okay, ma. So first one will be glycolysis. If you remember the introduction class which I have taken day before yesterday, then you would have remembered this glycolysis, because from glycolysis only acetate malonylic pathway and acetate malonate pathway both will start. Let's revise that once again. Here if you see this glycolysis cycle, this glycolysis is converted into pyruvate. This pyruvate, with the help of this acetyl-CoA, it will be converting into acetate mevalonate pathway and acetate malonate pathway. Okay, ma. And this acetate mevalonate pathway gives rise to mevalonic acid, and this mevalonic acid gives rise to secondary metabolites. Those are isoprenoids. In that isoprenoids, first one is terpenes and the next one is steroids. And we have seen the uses of these two. What they will do after going into our body. Mostly anti-inflammatory and steroids, immune suppressant and as well as anti-inflammatory. Isn't it? So next one, let's see this acetate malonate pathway. This acetate malonate pathway is converted into malonyl-CoA. Okay, and then it is converted into fatty acids, which are very useful for our body. For example, nowadays we are taking this fatty acids, omega fatty acids, which are very useful for our immunity development also. So in this fatty acids also, the main thing will be lipids. So fatty acids are very important to us, and in this situation we have to take this must and should. Mainly omega fatty acids. So in this acetate malonate pathway, what will happen? Two acetyl-CoA enzymes will combine and condense to form acetoacetyl-CoA. That means if you see here, this is acetyl-CoA, isn't it? And this one also acetyl-CoA. They both will get combined and they will get condensed to form acetoacetyl-CoA. If you see the structure, this is going and binding here, and not only that, when it is condensing, it is releasing HS-CoA. HS-CoA. So here what is happening, if you see this CH3 C double bond O is same here also. This CH3 C double bond O, you have to write that only. Okay, and this CH3, as I told you, it is releasing one hydrogen. So let's remove one hydrogen from here. Okay, so now we are removing one hydrogen from here. This will come and bind here. Okay, at this point it will come and bind. So when it is coming and binding, as we are removing this hydrogen molecule from this compound, what will happen? This will become CH2. So CH2. and C double bond O, C double bond O, and S CoA, S CoA. So now our compound is acetoacetyl CoA. The enzyme which is used in this condensation is acetyl CoA thiolase. Okay, so the next step, this is our first step. So the next step will be, to this one again we are adding one acetyl CoA enzyme. So again we are adding one acetyl CoA. Now what will happen if you see, it will be losing one hydrogen again, okay, and it will become COO. And this one, this will become CH2, okay. C, instead of this double bond, it will we will remove one bond, so then it will become COH, CH3, which is this CH3, okay, CH2, C double bond, the same, CH2, C double bond, Se, S CoA, CH2, C double bond, S CoA. Okay, now this is called as beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA. Okay, what it is called, ma? Beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA. This will undergo reduction and it is converted into mevalonate. This will undergo HMG CoA reductase. Okay, it will undergo HMG CoA reductase here. Okay, plus it is adding 2 hydrogen molecules. So what will happen? COO, same, COO, CH2, and the whole this equation is same, but it is adding 2 molecules of hydrogens. That's why here you got OH, and we are removing this S CoA, okay, along with 1 hydrogen. Then it is forming this mevalonate, okay. And after this, ATP is converted into ADP. This phosphate will go and bind to mevalonate. What will happen then? The reaction, the whole thing will be same, except one phosphate will be added in this. So C double O, okay, CH2, C, OH, CH3, CH2, same to same, and CH2O, instead of hydrogen, it is replaced with phosphate. After adding, then it became 5-phosphomevalonate. Why it is called as 5-phosphomevalonate? Because it is attaching at 5th position. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5th position. This is 5th position. That's why it's called as 5-phosphomevalonate. As it is attaching to mevalonate, it is called as 5-phosphomevalonate. Next step, again it will add 1 more phosphate to it. So when it is adding 1 more phosphate, it became P2O6. Here it is only PO3. If you see here, this will be very easy cycle, very easy pathway. But the thing is, you have to remember all this additions and subtractions, okay? So here PO3, here by adding 1 more phosphate, it became P2O6. Next one, by losing this water and carbon dioxide molecule, like we will remove this one, which is CO2, carbon dioxide, and we will remove 1 more H2O from here. Okay, then we will get isopentenyl pyrophosphate. Isopentenyl pyrophosphate. We are removing these 2 molecules and it became isopentenyl pyrophosphate. And this is very important step in our whole acetyl mevalonate acid pathway. This one and this one, it is called as IPP. It is main precursor of this whole cycle. And not only that, this one, DPP, this is called as DPP. And this is IPP and this is DPP. Okay, isopentenyl pyrophosphate will give this dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate. Here we are adding one more hydrogen molecule, that's why it became CH3. Okay, and remaining whole cycle is same. And why it is called as dimethyl? Because if you see here we have two methyls, isn't it? That's why it's called as dimethyl. Okay ma, and these two are very important precursors of this acetate malonate pathway. This isopentenyl pyrophosphate and dimethyl allyl pyrophosphate, they both will get condensed and they will form this geranyl pyrophosphate. Why geranyl pyrophosphate? How it is condensing? With the help of isomerase enzyme. What enzyme ma? With the help of isomerase enzyme. So here what is happening, if you see, we are writing the same equation here. And not only that, if you see this isopentenyl pyrophosphate is converted into dimethyl pyrophosphate, and dimethyl pyrophosphate can be converted into isopentenyl pyrophosphate anytime, because if you see the both equation will be same except this hydrogen, because it is gaining one hydrogen and it is forming methyl group, isn't it? So they both will condense and form this geranyl pyrophosphate. Why geranyl pyrophosphate? If we see here, we have 5 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, and this one also contains 5 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 plus 5, 10 carbons. So if you see here, we have 10 carbons. That's why it's called as geranyl pyrophosphate. Then how it is condensing? Here it will lose one phosphate group. Okay, so here we are losing this phosphate group. This methyl will be same. Okay, this methyl groups will be same, dimethyl. Okay, and allyl, whole thing. And this will get attached here. It will also lose water molecule here and becomes this. And it will form geranyl pyrophosphate. And for this geranyl pyrophosphate, we will again add one isopentenyl pyrophosphate. When we are again adding this isopentenyl pyrophosphate, it will become porcinyl pyrophosphate. What is it ma? Porcinyl pyrophosphate. This porcinyl pyrophosphate means, now what is happening here? We have 10 carbon compounds, isn't it? Now it will become 15 carbons, because we are adding one more IPP. 10 plus again IPP means 5 carbons. So 10 plus 5, it will become 15 carbons. So next step is, and this geranyl pyrophosphate is very important because here it is our monoterpenes. I already told you monoterpenes means these are used for anti-cancer activity. Okay, so that's why we need this geranyl pyrophosphate phase. Okay, next phase will be our porcinyl pyrophosphate. In this porcinyl pyrophosphate, this will form sesquiterpenes. Sesquiterpenes means 3 isoperenes. Okay, here we have sesquiterpenes. Okay, ma? And again here if you see this sesquiterpenes, it is found in turmeric. If you see turmeric, this is also used as an anti-cancer. We regularly take this turmeric. Turmeric is very important for us. It is used as an antibiotic. Okay, but when we are taking this turmeric, we have to take in large quantities. But everybody will say if we take this turmeric, it will cause us heat in our body. But turmeric bioavailability will be very less. That means if we take large quantity, more than 10 grams, then only that will show effect on our body. Okay, that's why we have to take more turmeric. So we find more uses in turmeric. And after this one, for this ferrinyl pyrophosphate, again we have to add IPP. When we are adding IPP, we will get geranyl pyrophosphate. That means now we have C20. Now we have carbons 20. Okay, that's why it is called as geranyl, which is 10. Geranyl pyrophosphate. So when we are adding for this ferrinyl pyrophosphate, if we are adding FPP, again ferrinyl pyrophosphate, which is 15 carbons plus 15 carbons, that will become C30. 15 plus 15, 13, right? So it became C30. So which type of terpenoids are present in this geranyl pyrophosphate is diterpenoids. Okay, these diterpenoids are found in this taxanol. Taxanol is used as an anti-cancer agent. Okay, next one is squalene. In this squalene is mostly found in digitalis plant, which is digoxin. So it is a main precursor. This squalene is a main precursor for digitalis plant. So we already know the uses of this digitalis, which is used as a cardiac glycoside. By this I am ending acetate mevalonate pathway. Next one is acetate melanate pathway. Okay, so this will be in steps. First one, the biosynthetic precursor of this melanate pathway is acetyl ACP and melanyl ACP. ACP means acyl carrier protein. Okay, what is ACP? Acyl carrier protein. So how this acyl ACP and melanyl ACP is forming? So let's see how they are forming, ma. First let's see acetyl ACP. Sorry, it's not acyl, it's acetyl ATP. So this acetyl ATP, first what will happen? Acetic acid will combine with SH coenzyme A. Okay, so by releasing H2O, with the help of energy, it will convert into acetyl CoA. Acetic acid plus SH CoA enzyme combines to form acetyl CoA enzyme. Okay, so CH3 COO, H2O is removed from here. H2O is removed. Here one H, here HO, then it will become CH3CO S CoA, that is acetyl CoA. Next one, this acetyl CoA, with this addition of this protein, it will become acetyl ACP. Acetyl ACP, I already told you, with this protein is nothing but acyl carrier protein. Okay, so now it became acyl carrier protein. So our next step will be melanyl acyl carrier protein. In this, what will happen? This acetyl CoA will combine with carbon dioxide plus ATP in presence of biotin, it will become malonyl CoA. And for this malonyl CoA, we will add this protein. When we are adding this protein, it will become malonyl ACP. Okay. So this precursor, the biosynthetic precursor of this malonate pathway will be acetyl ACP and malonyl ACP. They both will combine and form acetoacetyl ACP. Okay. So CH3 C double bond O, by removing one, by releasing one SACP, it will become acetoacetyl ACP. So okay, next step will be palmitoyl ACP. This acetoacetyl ACP is converted into palmitoyl ACP. Palmitoyl ACP is converted into palmic acid, and this palmitoyl ACP is converted into sterol ACP. Okay, then this sterol ACP is converted into oilol ACP, and this oilol ACP is converted into arachidonyl ACP, and then arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is fatty acid. So previously we have learned that this malonate pathway will give secondary metabolite fatty acid, which is very essential for our body. By this, acetate pathway got completed. Hello my dear students, hope you are doing good. Today we are going to learn about amino acid pathway. So before going into amino acid pathway, let's see what is amino acid. This amino acid is present in each and every living cell. Okay, for example, it is present in us, it is present in plants, animals, bacteria, virus. Protein is present in every living cell. Okay, so plant is also a living cell, right? Proteins are present in plants also. We have 20 amino acids. These 20 amino acids are very important to our body, and amino acids are basic units of this protein, because proteins are made up of amino acids. In this pathway, our secondary metabolite will be alkalides. Alkalides are used as used in supplements, and nowadays in modern medicine we are using it for antidepressant, antipsychotic drugs. Okay, we will see about this alkalides in further classes, but we will use this alkalides as an antipsychotic. So I told you we will be having 20 amino acids in our body. So plant will synthesize all these 20 amino acids. We won't synthesize all these 20 amino acids. We will synthesizing only 11 amino acids. Remaining 9 amino acids we will take as essential amino acids. Essential amino acids are nothing but the one which we will take in our diet is called as essential amino acids. That means if I am taking any protein shake, that means it consists of some amino acids which I am not synthesizing in my body. Okay, that's why it's called as essential amino acid. So why plant will synthesize all these proteins? Plant synthesize these proteins for its growth and development, because amino acid is our primary metabolite. So primary metabolite function is growth and development, isn't it? So plant use this protein as a protective from bacteria. For example, I want to talk about a protein which you are hearing a lot nowadays. Famous protein is spike protein, which is on coronavirus, isn't it? This will come and bind to our cells, and it will make contact with our cells, and it will protrude into our cells, and it will exchange its RNA with our RNA, isn't it? So this is spike protein. Sometimes proteins are very useful protection also. Coming back to class, the main biosynthesis precursor for this amino acid pathway is our Krebs cycle and glycolysis. So I hope you have heard about this Krebs cycle and glycolysis in your biochemistry also. First, let's see this how these amino acids are produced. These amino acids are produced with the help of alpha keto acids. These alpha keto acids, with the help of reductive amination and in presence of amines, it is converted into amino acid. These alpha amines are very useful for the synthesis of other amino acids. Now let's see the structure of amino acid. So if you see here, you will be having carbon group. Here we have amine and acidic group. NH2 is our amine group, okay? And also it consists of acidic group, which is carboxyl group. This is carboxyl group. This is R group. In this, depending upon the amino acid, this R will differ. Example, serine. If it is serine, so here instead of R, as this is serine, we will add NH. Okay? So let's see our amino acid pathway. Previously, I told you this amino acid biosynthesis precursors will be glycolysis and Krebs cycle. So let's first see this glycolysis cycle. How this glycolysis cycle will produce the secondary metabolites like 20 amino acids. Glycolysis and Krebs cycle combinedly synthesize 20 amino acids, which are secondary metabolites. Okay, let's get into our glycolysis. So this is glycolysis. So let's see the cycle in the glycolysis. In glycolysis, first step will be glucose. This glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate in glycolysis pathway. I am not discussing each and every pathway because we need only few metabolites which are used for synthesis of secondary metabolites. Okay, so we are seeing only that metabolites. So glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate, and this glucose 6-phosphate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate, and this 3-phosphoglycerate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, and then it is converted into pyruvate. So first let's see this glycolysis. We will see this Krebs cycle afterwards, which give rise to secondary metabolites are glucose 6-phosphate. So this glucose 6-phosphate, it will with this phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate pathway, it is called as phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate. With this, it will convert this glucose 6-phosphate into ribose 5-phosphate. Okay, and this ribose 5-phosphate is converted into phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate. Why it is called as phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate? Because in this whole cycle, this is the key metabolite, and the secondary metabolite here will be our histidine, one amino acid, histidine. Next one will be 3-phosphoglycerate. This 3-phosphoglycerate is converted directly into secondary amino acid, which is serine. Okay, and this serine, it is also converted into glycine, and this serine is converted into O-acetylserine, and from this O-acetylserine it is converted into cysteine. The next step is pyruvate. This pyruvate is converted into two steps. It will directly with amination, it is converted into alanine, and next it is converted into keto isovaleric acid, which is converted with the help of transaminase. It is converted into valine. Alpha keto isovaleric acid is converted into alpha keto isocaproic acid. With the help of transaminase, it is converted into leucine. This is also a protein. And this phosphoenol pyruvate, yesterday if you have remembered this shikimic acid pathway, you would have remembered this phosphoenol pyruvate. Okay, this phosphoenol pyruvate combines with erythrophosphate phosphate and it will become shikimic acid, and this shikimic acid will give rise to chorosmic acid. And this corosmic acid is break down into two pathways, which are prefenic acid and anthranilic acid. This prefenic acid is divided into phenylalanine and tyrosine. And this anthranilic acid is converted into tryptophan. So now let's see our Krebs cycle. This Krebs cycle is also known as TCA cycle. Okay, so let's see our Krebs cycle now. In this Krebs cycle, this acetylcholine is converted into citrate, and this citrate is converted into alpha ketoglutarate, and this alpha ketoglutarate is converted into malatate, and this malatate is converted into oxaloacetate. So in this Krebs cycle, the main metabolite which is used for the synthesis of secondary metabolite is alpha ketoglutarate. Okay, this alpha ketoglutarate with amylation is converted into glutamate. Okay, which is our secondary metabolite, and this glutamate is converted into proline, which is furthermore converted into hydroxyproline, but proline is the secondary metabolite. And then glutamate, and this glutamate is converted into glutamine and ornithine. Okay, glutamate is our secondary metabolite. So ornithine, from ornithine it is converted into citrulline, and from citrulline arginine. And here, and in this Krebs cycle, one more metabolite which is used for the synthesis of secondary metabolite is our oxaloacetate. With amination, it is converted into aspartate, and this aspartate is in with amination, it is converted into aspargine. Okay, it is converted into aspargine, which is also secondary amino acid. And this aspartate also convert into diaminopimalate, which is converted into lysine. This is also our secondary metabolite, that is amino acid. And this aspartate, it will also break down into homoserine. Okay, this homoserine is break down into two metabolites. One is threonine and cristathionine. This thionine is a secondary metabolite, and this thionine again converts into isoleucine. Okay, and cristathione is furthermore divided into methionine. Okay, this is the end of amino acids pathway. Tomorrow I will explain about radioactive isotopes. By this I will conclude my class. Thank you and take care. See you tomorrow.